Welcome to another edition of Thunder Insider. Leslie McCaslin joined as always by Matt Pinto and Grant Long to start off this week's show. Guys, only a couple games left in the regular season. One final week and the regular season is over and done with. So on that note, we're going to start looking back at how the Thunder has improved so far this season. Matt, first, let's get your take.
Well, they've been really consistent all season, Leslie, on the defensive end of the floor. I think that was certainly the primary focus during training camp, and they really have followed through on that, I think, to a great degree. Now, clearing the board after that initial stop continues to be a little bit of an area of, I think, concern going into the playoffs, Grant, but it's an area that they've also shown that when they're focused on it collectively, they can take care of. So I think the defense, more than anything else, to me, top to bottom, the focus, the commitment in that regard has been the biggest area.
I think you're onto something when you talk about the rebounding. I think they've gotten better at it, but it needs to still be even more improved. Also, the turnovers. I think the turnovers are down. Two components of a basketball game that I think if you minimize the turnovers and you can really outboard your opponent, out-rebounding your opponent takes up or makes up for a bad shooting night because you get second chance opportunities. If you don't turn the ball over, you get more possessions. And you don't want to go into a playoff or even a game situation where you don't have more possessions than your opponent. And I think when you cut down your turnovers, you allow yourself to do that.
Well, both of you guys have been here from the beginning. You've seen this team really grow and mature over the last few years. Gosh, you've seen guys like Russell and Kevin grow into men. I mean, they came in so young into this league. And now we're seeing this on the court because not only are they winning, they're learning how to win. They have the largest point differential in the NBA. How else have we seen them mature?
Well, I think that recognizing where teammates want the ball, recognizing game, score, time, situation, and elements, I think both have really begun mastering that. And Russell's in a mode now of getting this team off on the right foot. Both the first and third quarters, it's become almost part of the blueprint. We can anticipate him taking charge, really being aggressive. And then Grant, he's got the closer, and Kevin Durant, who recognizes with the game and the balance, it's on his shoulders primarily to either create for a teammate or score the ball himself.
I think you're onto something again when you talk about starting the basketball game off. Russell Westbrook has done a tremendous job of setting the pace, whether they're going to run or they're going to set up and run half-court offense. But I also think a big improvement for this ball club between those two players is the harmony in which they play with. They're two dynamic players, and they have to coexist on the floor. And the way that they get going, it's Russell 1 minute, it's Kevin the next, but they're both trying to do what's best for the team. They're incorporating their teammates. Both of these guys are doing a fine job of passing and distributing. So I think their harmony in which they play with is not a disruptive atmosphere when they're on the floor together. They're both able to be successful.
And I think the other part of it, Leslie, is that sometimes we overlook how good this team is shooting threes. That's become, over the evolution of the last 2 or 3 seasons, part of a staple in their offense. It wasn't 2 or 3 years back. It was more rely on Kevin, rely to some degree on Russ. Now they're incorporating other players and knocking down three-point shots, which makes them really difficult to defend.
You talk about relying on both of those guys. Have you ever seen a guy spark with his energy the team as much as Russell Westbrook does?
Well, I think sometimes we overlook the physical mismatch it is most nights. Westbrook just taking it to the opposing point guard. He's an incredibly gifted, talented athlete that's really become an outstanding player.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch both those guys this year.
I think after 48 minutes of play, Russell may be the only guy that you can say, let's go play another 48, and he'd be happy about it.
I think you're exactly right. All right, well, as the Thunder get ready for the playoffs, so are the Tulsa 66ers starting this week. They clinched a spot in the playoffs for the 3rd time in 4 years and will now face the Canton Charge in the first round. But first, let's take a look back at how the Tulsa 66ers fared in the regular season.
Been great experience, and I think that guys developed their game a lot. It was very challenging season because of a lot of roster changes, a lot of players coming in, going out. But I think that all the players took that as a challenge as well, and they were trying to get as much as possible from any time they were getting on the court. We were working very hard, and I'm really proud of the development of those guys.
Well, my game has grown a lot, confidence. From when I came back in November, just getting better as in knowing the game a little bit better, knowing where I can get my shots from, and just set my teammates up to get their shots.
I've became more vocal, and I've also learned how to use the pick and roll a lot better, and definitely one-on-one defense.
Coaching staff has helped us such a great deal, especially defensively with concepts, one-on-one defense, closeouts. I think my pick and roll game has flourished a little bit.
Goals is learn the system, keep learning every day defensively, getting better, working on my shot and working on my mechanics and defense, the rotations and stuff like that.
We have done a lot of goals throughout the season weekly, so I try to keep improving on each goal weekly.
I think on both ends of the court, offensively and defensively, as league has progressed, all the teams were playing better basketball. It was ups and downs, problems with injuries, but in general, I think that we have improved all the segments and all the goals that we set for those guys: individual defense, pick and roll defense, rotations, and just introducing and teaching those guys how to play inside of OKC system.
Family, 1, 2, 3, family.
Ahead on Thunder Insider.
We love playing off each other, so we'll just continue to do that. And Nick is a great passer, so I know if I'm cutting, I'm not cutting for no reason.
Catch up on the latest news, game previews, community events, and NBA action each week during Thunder Insider, presented by Integris Health.
Welcome back to Thunder Insider as we continue to talk about how the Thunder fared in the regular season. Of course, we talked a little bit about Russell and Kevin and the chemistry that has developed between those two guys, but we have seen this develop across the entire team. And what areas do you think this team has really grown as far as chemistry off the court?
Well, I think that there were a couple of important areas where they made some adjustments. Reggie Jackson taking over as a backup point guard on this team. It's taken some time, I think, for him to understand his teammates, the system, how he fit in. But as the season's gone on, that's the thing that most sticks out to me, Grant, is that he now feels really comfortable in what his role is. And I think his teammates have an incredible level of trust based on the merit of what he's accomplished.
He's a guy that plays with a lot of confidence. He has to have that confidence in order to be successful on the floor. And I don't think that's any different from any other player. But Reggie, for the most part, when he's having success, you're going to see him continue to develop, continue to get better, and continue to make those eye-popping plays that we see him make near the basket. And I think as long as he continues to have a small amounts of success, and I think Scott Brooks is doing the right thing, plays him a little bit, give him a little bit more time, and each time he gets better and better and better. And before you know it, this guy's going to be one of the bona fide backups in the NBA.
Another couple players we have really seen grow, not separately, but together as a two-man unit, is Kevin Martin and Nick Collison. They have really figured out how to play off each other, how to create offense. What have you seen from their two-man game that's developed this year?
I think Nick Collison loves playing with Kevin Martin. I mean, he moves so well without the ball. He's so instinctive and has a high basketball IQ. He recognizes and reads situations. And Nick, I think this season, the thing that he's enjoying is that his passing skill is being accentuated because of Kevin's cuts and the way Kevin is able to beat defenders with just a quick fake, one way, go in a different direction. And Kevin Martin told me, Grant, that the only other player he's ever had that's a high post passer the caliber of Nick Collison was Brad Miller in Sacramento, which to him is incredibly high praise.
Yeah, I think so. And remember, Kevin Martin started off in a moving offense, a pass and cut type offense with the Sacramento Kings. But you talk about Nick Collison, I think he's like a Brett Favre, so to speak. He's willing to try that pass that everybody else is thinking it may not get there, but Nick will try it, and to a large degree he's been successful with that. Give credit to the entire team, though, because a lot of those baseline cuts that Kevin Martin gets, they're open because the other guys on the other side of the floor are active, they're moving, they're cutting, giving him the opportunity to cut backdoor. So it's a great chemistry that they have. They've worked on it. I'm not surprised that it is as successful as it is.
In addition, what you're saying, the spacing on the floor has to be exactly right to create the opportunity for Kevin to cut backdoor without a help side defender being in position to potentially contest his layup.
Well, here's what some of the players had to say about the two-man game that's developed between Kevin Martin and Nick Collison.
Well, Nick is what you guys have been seeing over the years. You know, he's solid as a rock. He's our leader in that group that knows how to do basically everything. And his best thing is his intangibles and playing hard. You know, so it's just great to play with a guy of Nick's caliber.
Nice pick and roll action off to the side.
When Kevin got here, we had to figure out what he liked to do, how he can be effective, and he's a really good cutter. He's one of the best cutters in the league.
How about Kevin Martin with a strong move, challenged by Udo, who got his hand on the ball.
And Nick is a great passer, so I know if I'm cutting, I'm not cutting for no reason. I know there's a reason behind it, and it just makes both of us happy in our roles and this helps out the second unit a lot.
They're two high IQ players, on the court. They know exactly what's going on, and I think they talk a lot to one another. They've been working on it now for quite a while, that two-man game.
Coach made that a priority to get that going in the past weeks, and that's what we've been doing, focusing on it. And we love playing off each other, so we'll just continue to do that.
And I think we're trying to take advantage of that, so get him in spots where a defender has to guard him both ways, either coming off a dribble handoff or being able to cut back door. And it's hard to guard both, so we're trying to put him in those situations. And for me, I'm just trying to find an opportunity to hit him when he's open.
And that brings a lot of offense to the other guys as well. Everybody's spotting up, ready to shoot the ball, ready to do something. Hasheem down close to the basket, getting some opportunities. So I think everybody, the ball is moving, and that's positive for us.